This video tutorial from exocad will be showing you how you can quickly achieve a single coping cutback design. To start, run the DentalDB application. Click on the Load button at the top of the DentalDB. Choose the second sample called Single Coping Cutback and click again on the Load button. Now click on the Design button to start the CAD application. The wizard starts with the margin line detection. As this is the first tutorial using an antagonist scan, I'd like to talk about the Show Hide window. It allows you to show or hide objects. Use the checkboxes left of the group description to show or hide objects. Use the slider to toggle transparency for objects. As you proceed with the design, the list will become more and more populated. Hidden objects will be listed in the Hidden group. Unfold the Hidden expander to see which parts are currently hidden. Use the Show All button to show all parts available. Let's start to define the margin line by adding a point. If the margin line has not been detected correctly, you can help the algorithms by adding one or more additional points on the margin line. If you have erroneously clicked on a point which is not actually on the margin, switch to Remove Point and click on Points to remove. The rest of the options for margin line definition will be covered in a separate video. Click on the Next button to proceed to the next step. The Crown Bottom step allows you to design the inside of the crown. This part of the design and the parameters involved are crucial for proper fitting. It will be explained in more detail in a separate tutorial. Click on the Next button to proceed to the next step. The single coping tooth placement requires the approximal contact points to be defined. For multiple tooth restorations, the library teeth will be placed automatically. Click on the contact point of the mesial adjacent tooth and on the contact point of the distal adjacent tooth. Click on the Next button to proceed to the next step. In the tooth placement correction, you have the possibility to manually optimize the placement of the model teeth by moving, rotating, and scaling. Choose the default option, Move, and move the tooth in all directions by holding and dragging the left mouse button. It may be useful to restrict possible movements to certain directions. Choose and click Mesial Distal Direction only. Choose and click Buccal Lingual Direction only. Choose and click Only Occlusal Direction. Choose and click Mesial, Distal, and Buccal Lingual Direction only to move into all directions while keeping the height. Click Rotate to rotate the tooth in all directions by holding and dragging the left mouse button. Rotation movements can also be restricted to certain directions. Choose and click Buccal Lingual Tilt. choose and click Mesial Distal Tilt. Choose and click Only Occlusal Direction. Click Scale to scale the tooth in all dimensions. Scale the tooth by holding and dragging the left mouse button. Scaling can also be restricted to certain dimensions. Choose and click Mesial Distal Direction only. Choose and click Buccal Lingual Direction only. Choose and click Only Occlusal Direction. Choose and click Mesial Distal and Buccal Lingual Direction only to scale in all dimensions while keeping the height. Instead of using the mouse for switching between the modes, you can also use hotkeys to quickly toggle modes. To activate the hotkeys, click on Move and Move, Scale, Rotate in all directions. If you return to the Move mode, a software tip will suggest to use hotkeys. Hold only the left mouse button to drag. Hold Control and left mouse to rotate. Hold Shift and left mouse for scaling. And Control and Shift to scale in one direction. The use of hotkeys will save you a lot of time. For crown preparations, don't be too critical about positioning. You can always do fine tweaking later in the free-forming step. Click on the Next button to proceed to the next step. The tooth model will now be adapted to the margin line. The anatomical freeforming allows you to change the shape by areas. Choose Cusps to edit individual cusps, and hold and drag with the left mouse button to design cusps. Choose Tooth Parts to edit the mesial, distal, buccal, and lingual side, wherever you click on. Hold and drag again with the left mouse button to form the tooth parts. Choose Entire Tooth to move the entire tooth. Hold and drag with the left mouse button to move the entire tooth. Useful hotkeys are available in the Entire Tooth mode. Hold Control to rotate the tooth. Hold Shift to scale the tooth. Hold Ctrl and Shift to scale the tooth in one direction. This way, you can rotate or scale the tooth while it still stays attached to the preparation margin. Choose Ridge for fine-tuning of ridges and bulges. You can hold certain parts of the tooth fixed, either the cusp tips or the equator. Check Cusp Tips to keep the cusps fixed. And edit the equator. Uncheck Cusp Tips and check Equator. To keep the equator area fixed when editing the cusps. Uncheck All to get back to the default setting. By switching to Occlusal Only, you can limit the movements in the occlusal direction. Now it's time to verify the occlusion. You can highlight the antagonist in the Show Hide window. You may use a color map to show the intersections with the antagonist. Click on Show Distances. Intersections with the antagonist will be visualized, color-coded as shown in the Color Map window. Now you may use all the anatomical freeform features to create contact points with the antagonist. Don't be too critical with the design of the contact points. In another step, they can be adapted accurately. When the contact points are done, keep the cusp tips fixed while freeforming on the tooth sides to maintain them in contact. It is very useful to keep the distances visualization activated. Now, click on the Free tab to switch to the Virtual Wax Knife. This is a useful tool to do fine tweaking on your design. Choose Add Remove Material to add or remove material. You can use Shift and the mouse wheel to adjust the brush size, and Control and the mouse wheel to adjust the strength. To add material, click on the coping and hold the left mouse button. The longer you hold it, the more material will be added. Hold the left mouse button with Shift to remove material. Try the second brush type, Point of Knife, to do a more selective freeforming or to design deeper fissures. Why not use the True Smile feature at this stage? exocad's True Smile technology provides nearly photorealistic rendering. True Smile is available as an add-on module. It is a great tool if you do full contour crowns. Rendering presets are available for common materials such as ceramic, metal, or zirconia, providing a what you see is what you get user experience. Click on the third button, Cylinder. To create cylindrical forms. choose Smooth, Flatten to smooth the restoration. Smooth by holding the left mouse button. Hold Control and the left mouse button for a shape-preserving smoothing. Flatten by holding Shift and the left mouse button. The next job step will adapt restorations to the antagonist and to the adjacent teeth. Click on the Adapt tab. Start with the default adaptation, occlusal. You can define a desired distance to the antagonist using the slider or by entering or choosing a value. 0 means full contact. A negative value allows intersection, and a positive value creates a gap. You have the choice between a smart shape-preserving adaptation, which will try to preserve the tooth morphology, and cut intersections, which allows cutting intersections with the antagonist. Now click on the Approx tab to do the same adaptation with the adjacent teeth. Define the desired distance and decide which kind of adaptation you would like to perform. The use of freeforming after the adaptation is certainly allowed. Feel free to toggle back and forth between the two modes until you have achieved the desired design. Click on the Next button to proceed to the next step. This screen allows you to reduce the anatomic shapes in order to create a framework, or to apply veneering material here, such as ceramic. Use the slider Min Thickness or enter a value to define a desired minimum thickness. Use the slider Depth to define the desired amount of cutback. Click on Apply to start shrinking. You may exclude certain parts from shrinking, which will then be kept in full anatomic shape. Check Exclude Selected Parts. The teeth turn yellow and are now responsive to mouse actions. Use the slider Brush Thickness or Control and the mouse wheel to control the brush size. Mark in blue the areas you don't want to be reduced. You could use this feature for designing a metal chewing surface or bite stop if you don't have enough space for ceramic on the occlusal side. Click on Apply to start shrinking. You could use the feature also for the design of a veneered crown. Click on Mark All and delete with Shift the parts you want to be reduced for veneering. Click on Apply to restart shrinking. And certainly, you can use the feature to create lingual bands manually. Click on Apply to restart shrinking. Lingual or full bands can also be created automatically. Click on the Lingual Band button. For a full band, click on the Select All Around button. For a lingual band, click on the Select Lingual Part button. Certainly, you have already seen that the height can be chosen. To apply the changed height, click again on Select Lingual Part. Click on Apply to restart shrinking. In some cases, it may be useful to have less reduction on the lingual side. You can achieve this result by setting the slider Lingual Shrink to a value below 100%. By default, this lowered value is only applied to anterior teeth. To apply it to all teeth, uncheck Apply only to anterior teeth. Click on Apply to restart shrinking. In most cases, users just want to reduce the entire crown. To do this, make sure there is no marked area on the tooth and Lingual Shrink is set to 100%. Click on Apply to start shrinking. Click on the Next button to proceed to the next step. After the cutback, you may do some freeforming again. You may use all freeform features to adjust the design to the individual situation of the patient. Click on the Next button to proceed to the last step. The coping will be merged and saved now. Choose I'm done and click on the Next button to close and save the scene. Thank you for watching this video.